Hey guys, welcome back to the Ice Project. Roll the intro.
Welcome to the Ice Project. Welcome to the Ice Project.
Hey bro, what's up?
Hey brother, how are you?
Just move the mic a little bit closer. First of all, I just want to thank you for your time and jumping on. Sort of dropped off a bit of meat a couple months ago and sat down and had a pretty good chat, and you're a pretty interesting guy.
Thank you, mate. I'm full of surprises, I've been told.
Yeah, very unassuming, aren't you?
Of course, mate, undercover brother.
So anyone that doesn't know who you are, can you please introduce yourself?
Mate, my name's Gary Green. I'm AKA Mr. Wagyu Beef. So I've got Mr. Wagyu Beef that sort of spawned out of COVID. We had a meat wholesaling business, and when all the restaurants went under and the hospitality industry sort of went on a standstill, we had to sort of pivot, and we went to a direct-to-customer model. And, mate, the sort of learning curve that we've had over the last sort of 16 weeks been next level.
Did you ever enjoy it though?
Mate, it's been an amazing ride. For me, mate, I probably need a bit of pressure in my life, and it's really helped me as a person. Like, I had to really focus on the business and focus on like other people around me, and it sort of really kept me in check. I'm definitely known I can fall off the rails every now and then, so it's definitely kept me on the straight and narrow, which is good.
Yeah, can't we all? What's obviously hospitality was one of those industries that got really fucking kicked in the ass. What were some of the saddest stories you've seen through that?
Mate, just the people that were sort of put out of work straight away. Like you think about it, you've got your livelihood. A lot of the people have got lots of overheads. They're week to week. They got staff commitments, everything like that. And then next minute, the doors were shut. And these people, like, yeah, there was JobKeeper and other incentives out there, but this was people's sort of community. It was their social interaction. It was their being. So it all got taken away. One in particular, a young family that only just bought their cafe. They'd just opened up. They'd invested, $150K in it.
Yeah, it's a big startup capital, isn't it? Cafes and shit.
Mate,
That's kind of cheap too, isn't it? $150.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Not
it's a hole in the wall.
Mate, and you've got a stock, you got fit out, you got get all your supplies. It's a risky business.
Yeah, I think cafes were the ones that really like scared me, because when I get to know my cafe people pretty well, and they get to know your name and your dog's name and shit like that, and you could just sort of see the fear in their eyes. It was pretty sad, wasn't it?
Mate, and like I said, we were on the front line, and we were dealing with that, and especially with the restaurants and some of the cafe owners, and it was, I found it was like, being a counsellor partly too, like people would ring you up and say, hey, I can't take your product, it's stopped. And you're like, yeah, of course, not a problem at all. But you'd always try and reach out, because you could just hear in their voices, like, people were so lost. And with that sort of unknown aspect of it all, mate, it sent a lot of people like on a downhill spiral really fast.
Yeah, but I always seen like within like adversity, there's always room for opportunity, and you've sort of taken advantage of that. We were very similar. We pivoted pretty quickly. Some people get caught up in there. Hospitality is a lot different, but a lot of people get caught up and they get scared, don't they? And also, I think you saw an opportunity,
mate. And I only said this on a podcast with Travi at Reborn the other day. I said, you can sit there and cry in your soup and wonder, or you can just have a crack and try and go to market. And mate, one of the things I think that we got traction so well, we didn't overthink it. Like, trust me, we shit ourselves. We were like, what are we going to do? But instead of just trying to ponder and come up with a grand plan, we started straight away. We got a clunky Shopify, templated site online, got our products up, and just tried to start and just kept refining from there. And I think, in those sort of pressure situations, it's sink or swim, and too many people, I think, probably just sit around thinking about it and gonna, instead of actually biting the bullet and going, bang, what can we do?
He was another one that pivoted really well, wasn't he, Travi? Obviously, a lot of people know Travis Young. He's been on here. He was my very first guest on there, and that's sort of how we linked up. And yeah, he's pivoted really well. Great guy, isn't he? Mate,
absolute champion. I got all the time in the world for him. He's definitely through COVID, he was one of the guys, a bit like yourself. You look for, when you got a background in rugby league, when you're in the trenches, there's always that one person that you sort of look up to get you out of a hard spot. And when you're doing it tough, you want a brother by your shoulder. And mate, through COVID, Travi was that man for me. He was so positive. He was, and you just bounce off him, mate. His energy, like Mr. Routine himself, and it was infectious. And like I said, man, for my business, he was amazing. Like, he got us out to a lot of the boys, all the NRL boys, you know, Boyd, Josh, Dugan, the Morris boys, Dean Hallertau, you know, big Gray Goodwin, you know, Gray's been amazing for Mr. Wagyu.
You love that little shout out, wouldn't he?
Yeah, go Gray Goodwin, the man himself.
So personal journey, you've lost a bit of weight this year. That's pretty exciting.
Mate, yeah, like I said, COVID for me has been really good. It's sort of, you know, no restaurants, no drinking, you know, no pubs and that. Mate, yeah, I've dropped a heap of weight this year. And
How much?
Mate, I'm about 60 kilos, just over.
How much you weigh, Lukey?
Yeah, he's dropped me.
Yeah, so yeah, I was a big rig. I definitely let lifestyle and mate, you just get caught up in it and you don't really realise how bad you get, and it becomes normal. And I said to everyone, you sort of, mate, there's three spheres in your life: your health, your personal, and your business. And mate, I probably sunk mine into my personal and my business that much. I neglected my health, and it was one thing for me. I said at the start of the year, this year is about my health. And health first,
and everything sort of just goes with it, doesn't it?
Mate, I know it sounds stupid, but it actually does. Like when everything went out of control in my life, the only two things I had control over that actually made me level-headed was what I put into my body, what I fueled my body with, and what I did with my body.
What was the moment where you wanted to change your health journey?
Mate, it was actually 28th of December last year. I was at a family function and we got some photos taken, and I actually had a look at the photos and I went, holy shit, I didn't realise I was that big and that unhealthy. And I went, you know what? I turned 40 in July, and I said, I want to be nearly as fit as I was at 20 as I am when I'm 40. And mate, my why was just I didn't want to lose out on life. So I wanted to regain life, and I think, mate, COVID for me in that regard was perfect. It gave me the time to actually reset and slow down, and focus on me, because man, I got a lot of balls up in the air with a lot of businesses that I'm in. But man, COVID actually gave me that reset time. I got sort of a month before COVID where I laid my foundation, and mate, eat less, move more, you know, and coming up with Travi as well, like over at Reborn. Mate, those guys have been amazing. Like I say often, you're the product of the 5 people you spend the most time with, you know, and definitely this year being around a lot more, you know, positive, active, healthy people, mate, it's rubbed off on me.
Just makes sense, doesn't it? I heard something yesterday someone talking about the difference between a mirror and a camera. So when you look in a mirror, it's like the opposite. So you sort of see yourself always front on, and it's not till you see yourself from a camera where they can sort of, like we've got boys in there shooting right now, you sort of see a side on of yourself and you're like, oh shit. Because whenever you're looking in the mirror, you're always kind of front on,
Yeah,
trying to get that sort of best angle of you.
And mate, I think probably the thing about this year for me personally was just to actually front up to the bloke in the mirror. And stop making the excuses and just go, it's all in my control. You know, I can either be the best of everything bad or the best of everything good. And, you know, it was mentally challenging. Like the first month was, you know, terrible. Like, you know, Christmas, mate, I'd partied like a rock star. I'd drunk more grog than anyone and you know, eaten whatever I want. But it really came down to, I wanted to change my health, and I wanted to be around for a lot longer. And, you know, it's definitely been the best decision I've made is, you know, taking control of what I can control. So then when everything spiralled out of control with COVID, to me, I'd already had sort of a blueprint that I'd been following for a month of what I could control. And I just said to myself every day,
double down.
Let's just keep going. Focus on you, focus on you, focus on you, and the rest will follow.
It's pretty inspiring, bro. Before you were Mr. Wagyu Beef, sort of had an upbringing. Where are you from?
Yeah, mate, I'm from a little town called Casino in northern New South Wales, famous for Beef Week.
Is it really?
Yeah, so famous for Beef Week. A couple of good footy players come from there.
Cody Walker, I thought I heard that before, yeah.
Yeah, so Code, you know, small world it is. My mum's remarried, and she's married to Cody's uncle, Billy Walker. So Billy played at the Raiders and at South. But, mate, yeah, small little country town, you know, 40 minutes from Evans Head, an hour from Byron Bay. Beautiful little beautiful little pocket of the world. You can have your cowboy hat on Monday to Friday and have the board shorts on Saturday and Sunday. So it was a good upbringing, man. Like I said, I was a wild kid, loved playing footy, loved running around with my mates, fishing, shooting, you know, getting up the mischief. And, you know, I left school pretty young. I dropped out in year 11. I decided I'd had enough and I wanted to see the world. And, you know, I think definitely part of me, my dad's Aboriginal and my mum's Danish-Irish. So, you know, I'm a Koori fella. And, mate, I needed to go walkabout. I needed to go find myself. So I packed up and went to the Northern Territory and decided to become a fisherman, a commercial fisherman, barramundi and mud crab. So bit of a, I guess, unique journey.
Good food.
Oh, mate, amazing.
You've been on a journey of good food, haven't you? Your whole life.
Yeah, I've become a pseudo foodie in my later years. You know, I've sort of eaten it all, and mate, and I think, you know, it's really funny for me. I say to people when I was so overweight, because I'd eat at all the best restaurants all the time. Now I actually appreciate, because I don't eat as much. I actually appreciate seeing other people, you know, enjoy our product and go, oh, mate, that's an amazing steak, or, mate, thank you so much. So it actually gives me a bit of a buzz.
So you're a bit of like, you know, on Forrest Gump when they get the shrimp? Were you a bit like that?
Mate, I am, mate. You want tomahawk steak, boiled steak, fried steak, barbecued steak, steak and potatoes.
So, yeah, a bit on a walkabout. You played a bit of footy in there as well?
Mate, yeah, so I played in the Bankstown comp down here and a bit in the Illawarra comp, and then I spent a couple of years over in England. So I was at Batley in National League One, Batley Bulldogs. Shout out to Batley and the sloping field and the sloping
what the
pitch.
Fuck?
Oh, what a pitch it is.
Anyone that doesn't know where Batley is they play on this fucking hill like that. So first half is all right when you're running down.
100%. But, mate, I loved England. I did a bit of time at York City Knights after that and then had visa issues. But, mate,
York, beautiful place, isn't it?
Amazing. But, man, Batley, for me, Batley was just like casino. It's a little community. It's a coal community, so coal miners. So casinos like, you know, farmers. And, mate, I love the English people. I love the crack. I love the nightlife. I loved everything about England. You know, the only thing for me is, you know, I'm definitely a warm weather person. So, we played our first game, Batley Dewsbury, is the local derby on Boxing Day.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, my coach rung me up, Gary Thornton rung me up on Christmas Day, and I seen the phone and I went, give me a Christmas call. He's going, you all right, lad? We're not sure if the pitch is going to be frozen or not. We mightn't be playing, but, you know, keep yourself together today, lad. Don't let it get out of hand.
That's a fucking really good Yorkshire accent, that.
You like that?
Yeah, it sounds exactly the same. Yeah, I was the same as well. My first game was on Boxing Day. We played Wagyu versus Leeds. Yeah. You can't even enjoy your Christmas, can you?
And mate, but what I liked about over there, and, you know, being an Aussie, like the English lads, mate, they took you in like a brother. But it was really cool, the other Aussie boys that was over there, and, you know, the Kiwis and the Pacific Islanders. They
stick tight, don't they?
Yeah, it was really cool.
I fucking know if they do.
You know, so that for me was a sort of good little transition that I had over there, and I got to sort of, you know, live out a dream of, you know, playing footy over there. So it was. We
kind of had this unwritten rule over there. The Islander boys don't put on shots on the other Islander boys, which is pretty good. Played St. Helens one time and had Francis Malley and Sia Soliola. He was putting on hits at the time, so that was going down my edge, but they looked after me, so shout out to the boys.
Good man, there you go, looking after him. Yeah. Brothers helping brothers.
100. And then all the Pommy boys knew it too. They're like, fuck yous. So a bit of an entrepreneur, sort of going into your adult life. When did you finish football? How did you transition into this?
So I finished at 28. I came back to Australia and I moved back to the Gold Coast. And for me, I wanted to find out who I was and what made me me. And I really wanted to sort of, you know, understand what I'm good at. You know, I'd done a lot of study over in England. I'd studied before I went to England. So,
what did you study?
Mate, I got a degree in project management. So project management is my forte, project management, construction management. So I knew I wanted to do something in construction, but I needed that. I'm a good communicator and I thrive off people. So I needed to be in an industry where I could talk to people and I could be around people. So when I come back to the Gold Coast, I was actually looking in the paper and I went, what can I actually do? And I saw an ad for a real estate agent. So I went, I reckon I could do that. I could sell ice to Eskimos. So I said, give us a crack. So I went up and seen the guy and he said, you got to do all these courses and, you know, you got to get a sales certificate. So I said, how do I do it? So long story short, man, I went down to the licensing organisation, bought the books that day, put my head in the books for like 5 days, completed all the courses, went back to him and said, hey, can you check this? I want to submit it. And, mate, I started as a real estate agent up there for a small company. Bloke gave me a go, and I'm always about pay it forward. Like I've had a lot of people in my life at pivotal times that have either given me a go or given me advice or given me support. And this guy Alex Adler, he was definitely one of them. He gave me a shot, and mate, I was lucky enough. I jagged the sale like in my third day, and I was like,
That was easy.
I was like, what's this? Where's this been on my life? You want to pay me how much for doing this?
Yeah.
And then mate, from that, like me being me, I've always, like my mum's school principal, she's been a school principal, and I've always promised her, because I left school early, I'd be committed to lifelong learning. So wherever I can learn anything, sort of like the demon in the back of my head, she's always whispering, you know, dear, just commit to lifelong learning, learn wherever you can. So I just went on a search for knowledge, and, you know, I was buying cartons of beer on a Thursday and Friday, going out to the new development sites with the tradies and going, boys, Friday half beers or Thursday half beers. Hey, can you just show me, talk me through the site, talk me what you're doing, talk me about like the construction times, you know, the different stages. Because, you know, I'm in a sales industry, but I tell everyone I'm not a salesperson. You know, my motto is inform and educate, and people make an informed decision. So if you know what you're talking about and you actually know it in depth, you know, that I think is where you get quality customers. And that's what, you know, probably taught me in real estate. From there, I went into, you know, doing a couple of our own developments and small little projects. Ended up getting my own real estate agency. That was, you know, cool. We had six staff work for us. You know, humming along. And then we had, you know, obviously there was the property corrections and property hiccups. And then, mate, I probably really found my calling. I always wanted to give back to my people, like, and I'm really passionate about, you know, the Aboriginal situation in Australia. So I went, how can I help with my skill set? So, mate, I did a lot in remote housing, so actually building homes in remote communities and trying to get, you know, break that sort of stereotype around, you know, Aboriginal people don't want to work, they don't want to do this, they don't want to do that, and actually integrate them. And, you know, that was awesome. Like, you know, I trained up heaps of boys and girls, integrated them into our projects, got them working, you know, got them skilled up, got them jobs. And then, mate, the calling for me to, I guess, and that's where I come into sort of food and beverage. I was actually at a house party on a Sunday, and I think I've been out since the Saturday.
I think they call those benders, bro.
Yeah.
They're not house parties.
Oh, well, that's it. Yeah. Let's tone it down. Yeah. So I was on a bender, and one of my mates, I was down here in Sydney, and one of my mates who's been in the liquor industry for 20 years, I was actually at a house party, and one of the guys, a cask of wine coming out, and, you know, he said something fairly derogatory about Aboriginal people in this cask of wine. And, you know, I'm a day and a half old.
Oh.
I wanted to kill him.
Yeah.
And but I thought to myself, I said, you know what? There's no point. You know, that's not going to solve anything. So I said, if that's a problem, be a solution. So I grabbed my mate and I said, tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock in the morning, because I definitely need to sleep in. I'm in your office and I want to create Australia's first wine company, Indigenous wine company. So long story short, man, 6 years ago I created Gondwana Wines, which was Australia's first Indigenous wine company. And, mate, I created that to break the negative stereotype around Aboriginal people and alcohol. You know, why can't there be a positive story around Aboriginal people and alcohol? Like, this is McLaren Vale Shiraz, Adelaide Hills Chardonnay. And, mate, it was about promoting Aboriginal culture on a bottle and having, you know,
Negative stereotype.
Yeah, non-Aboriginal people. It's an education piece, but also for Aboriginal people, because it had never been done before. Like, I had plenty of my mob when I went up and seen them and said, hey, you mob, I'm going to open a wine company, and I want it, you know, to be an Aboriginal wine company. And a few of my own mob said, are you mad? You know, and I said, hey, we can't be that brainwashed to think that we can't do this ourselves. So, mate, I was lucky and fortunate enough. You know, I'm always one to say, you know, a no's a step closer to a yes. If you don't ask, you don't get. So, you know, more shop front than mire. I showed up at Coles with my little presenter and I said, hey, listen, I've got a really good story and, you know, we've got really good product. I think under your corporate and social responsibility, it'd be a really good pitch into your Liquorland banner stores. Mate, this meeting was with 4 guys that I know nothing about wine. I've got my business partner there. I just know that I'm passionate about the social aspect of it and that we've got a good quality product. And Cole said, listen, we love your story. We'd love to take it national, but under our risk mitigation profile, we don't think you can supply us enough wine. And I said, hang on a minute. And I said, I don't know much about your business, but aren't you the biggest buyers of like jus or pressed grapes in the country? And you bottle all your own? And I said, yeah, we are. I said, well, how about for the first 12 months until I build up my supply chain, I'll buy my jus from you, put it in my label and sell it back to you for a margin. And for the first 12 months, man, that's what happened with Coles. We got a national contract, 450 odd Liquorland stores, one varietal. But mate, it was about the satisfaction of, getting it out there and then seeing, all the big corporates, like start to come on board, Westpacs, the banks, the mining companies, the KPMGs, all of those sort of guys, and actually buy into, hey, there can be a positive story, and this is actually an educational piece. So that business has grown really well. We had a name change last year to Mount Yango because we're doing a deal up in the Hunter Valley on a vineyard, and it's part of our, growth and expansion. And, mate, that was my sort of first foray into sort of the food and beverage sort of sector. I've still got a big focus in construction. I'm in a company at the moment called Wagyu with Amos Roberts. Shout out to Big Amos, Roosters, Dragons and Penrith
good player, man. Fucking really good player.
Mate, we got a joke at work. I used to call him the fastest man in rugby league. Now he's the slowest man in Macquarie Park. always gets a rise out of me. But, mate, he's another guy, he played over in England, over in Wigan, had an amazing career, but,
Very instrumental in James Roberts' upbringing, isn't he?
Yeah, mate, him and James actually had dinner on Friday night. He was over at James's, because James is out of the bubble with his injury at the moment. He was over, he stayed over with James on the weekend. He's really, puts a lot of time in, and you can tell, mate, the love and the bond between them is really special. And, mate, Mossy like me, man, he just wants to, see opportunities for our mob. And, he's got a great profile, especially in our community and also in the non-Indigenous community. So, yeah, me and him have got an infrastructure business that we do a lot of work for a lot of the tier one, like the big companies and that. And it's all about, creating opportunities for, our people, but all people. And, proving a point that, we can deliver on what we say.
It's a tough question. Being an Indigenous man and half caste, did you ever struggle with identity?
Mate, I actually didn't. I'll tell you why. I actually didn't know my skin wasn't black until I was 5.
Wait, never seen a mirror or anything?
No, well, mate, I guess I was just blinded by it. I'd seen all my cousins just running around, and because I grew up mainly with all my cousins, and it wasn't until Christmas, I think, when I was, the 5th Christmas, I was at my nan's in Moree, and I got sunburnt. I was running around with no shirt on, and I was like albino, man, blonde-haired, like bleach blonde hair, blue eyes. And all my cousins are like, black as ace of spade. I'm like dandruff in our family photos. And one of my cousins, my mum tells a story, one of my cousins said, why are you so burnt? Like, why is your skin so red? And it was sort of, my mum said I just broke down crying. And it was only because my grandmother was there, and she was a staunch old, wiry Aboriginal woman. And she grabbed me, and I was always her favourite. And she sat me down on the lap, and she used to tell me all through my life, she goes, son, Aboriginality is not the colour of your skin, and it's what's inside that counts. And she said, on that basis, my boy, you're the blackest of them all. And, that's always given me strength. I say I'm a chameleon. I walk in many worlds, whether it's, out with whoever, my own mob, the high flyers, the government, and I'm proud of my heritage, and I'm proud of my background. I probably heard more racist comments, and that being an undercover brother, people normally want to, talk bad about people when they think no one's around. But I've always been open enough to challenge it, but I probably, when I was younger, I probably challenged it with my fists and did it in the wrong way. But as I got older, man, it's around that educational piece, and, it's like a cup of tea, mate. You can put as much milk in tea, but it's still tea.
That's a good little one. A few good little one-liners there.
Of course, brother.
So, Mr. Wagyu Beef, how did you? Obviously, you've gone from real estate to wine to construction.
Yeah. So, mate, how it happened was, obviously, like I said before, coming from casino, we're called the beef capital. We argue with Rockhampton who's the beef capital. We have a week-long celebration in May called Beef Week, where we basically celebrate cows and that. We've got a massive abattoir there, which a lot of my friends and family, we call it the university on top of the hill. They went to for a long, long time. Major employer in town.
Yeah.
Mate, I got into it initially. A bloke rang me up and asked me. He goes, mate, you come from casino. He goes, do you reckon you can get me some beef? And I went, I could probably sort it out. How much?
How big's the casino?
10,000 people.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So you know everyone.
Yeah.
Mate, you know everyone's business. So I made a couple of phone calls, and mate, I think our first sale was only like 200 kilos of beef, And it wasn't Wagyu, it was just, normal old sort of A-grade cow. And my business partner at the time, we had the wine company and we had a trading business. So, I'd always sort of help people out, whether they needed seafood or whatever, because of past relationships and experience. I knew how to sort of hook things together. So, mate, it started from there, and then our beef business slowly grew. Like, we paid our bills on time. We were good to our customers. People spoke. And we grew that up, and we were trading, good numbers, probably, sort of 10, 15,000 kilos a week, as a side business, which we still do today. And then, mate, I got the opportunity to come into the Wagyu when things were sort of pretty bad. We had the drought last year. A lot of people were struggling. There was a lot of uncertainty in the market, and sort of I backed the play and went, hey, I really want a premium Aboriginal company to have a premium product. Like, Wagyu is the pinnacle of meat as far as I'm concerned in the red meat world. How do we make this work? And mate, like I said, lucky to have good relationships up home with guys that know far more about cattle than me, and supply chains and everything like that. And we hooked into a supply chain, and we started selling under our another brand. We built that up, export and domestic. And, mate, we just got all massive traction into, some of the best places across Sydney. And, Matt Moran nominated us at the start of the year for an Australian Delicious Produce Award, which is like the Academy Awards of food. That was like, for me, that was like, hey, this is pretty cool. This is pretty easy. But then obviously with COVID, so we were under our other brand, and there was some exclusive contractual arrangements with a few venues. So we couldn't actually use that brand. So, mate, when the world stopped, I went, I've got all this meat that's in another type of packaging that I can't actually use, that I'm going to have to redo and rework. What are we going to call it? So obviously you got access to Mount Yengo Shiraz. So I sat back and had a couple of Shirazes, and I went, Mr. Beef, Mr. Wagyu, Mr. Wagyu Beef. Is it available? So looked on Insta, got the Instagram handle, said that's a good start. The domain, www.mrwaggybeef.com.au, and trademarked it. And, mate, from there, the journey started. It was, I've got the two boys that are here today, Mr. Wagyu, they're a massive part of that. Like I say, I've learnt so much this year about e-commerce. The two young guys, the Abella brothers, Jamie and Trav, big shout out to them. Mate, they've taught me so much, and their knowledge about sales funnels, Instagram ads, Facebook marketing, content is king. Like, they're videographers, mate, they smash out content for us, which is awesome. Like, it just informs and educates people, and it gives people that see it, touch it, feel it, taste it, instead of just a picture. But, mate, I was also lucky with... Was it kind of important to have a polished look to the Instagram? Because Wagyu's considered premium, isn't 100%.
it?
100%. Yeah. And if you look, all our photography's done by a mate, and it's a cool backstory. Me and him, his name's Skipper's Barbecue, or Luke Rutley. Shout out to the big Skip, the red-headed fella. Famous for being a commercial tuna boat fisherman on the show Hardliners for a number of years. But he grew up in Evans Head. Me and him have known each other for 30 years. We kicked around, running around the riverbanks and fishing and that together, and we all went our separate ways. But he's one of Australia's best food photographers, and probably one of Australia's best barbecue cookers. He's fully sponsored by Kamado Joe, and he shoots all
That's a feather on the cap in Australia, isn't it?
Oh, mate, yeah, 100%, mate. You go to his house for a feed, it's a feed.
Yeah, we're on here.
It's next level. Yeah. And, mate, I reached out to him and said, Bud, I'm stuck. I need some photos. And I said, I don't want it to be the stereotypical photo I see online on a meat business where it's a uncooked steak on a white plate that looks boring. I said, I want to make meat sexy. I want to have that polished look, like you said, and I want to try and change the game. And I think if you look, we jumped online first. Like I said, there was others that were already online, but when everyone had to get online, we sort of beat the curve of that next rush.
Important.
And, mate, some of the big guys we've seen, which is awesome, I think we've actually helped change the way in the red meat industry people actually promote or market their products. Like, there's so many more cooked product shots now. There's so many more little tutorial videos. And, these are all things that, we were just cracking on and having access, like I said.
Some of the dipping sauces, make it look good.
Yeah, 100%, mate. We got a good deal with truffle infused chili sauce. Shout out to them guys. They've been great. But along the journey, man, we've just met people who, like attracts like, and I got a no dickhead policy of, my bullshit filter's, pretty full from past lives, so I don't handle it well. So I'm pretty straightforward. But all the people, mate, that we've dealt with, like, just funny things. Like, I was sitting at home, I think second week of COVID, and Insta's going well. We've sold, a few sales. It's sort of, this could work. I didn't tell Jamie and Trav about the online shop for 3 days because I was a bit embarrassed. I just wanted to try it to see if it worked. And when I went to bed, man, and that first ding went off, man, it was like...
It's a great time when you first see that first one.
Mate.
Yeah.
And honestly, I had to turn the notifications off because I'd wake up in the middle of the night, to check, and it got like... It was a buzz. It got addictive. So... But, man, I was laying there and I was just trying to find people to align myself with, and I call it elevation by association. Who can I associate with that's on the same journey or a similar journey, that's got a presence that I can, if I can add value to them and they can add value to me, that's awesome. We all eat at the table together. And, mate, I found on Insta, it was a story come up from Two Smoking Arabs, Big Raf and his wife at Two Smoking Arabs. Like, this guy's a Muslim guy from the area in Punchbowl. He's the current 2019 Australian champion of best cooked brisket at Meatstock. So, man, you think about that. Low and slow American barbecues are normally considered from the deep south, normally pretty rednecky, pretty racist. For a Muslim guy with a beard to be the current Australian holder, mate, he must have a good brisket.
Fuck, you're making me hungry,
Brother, it's good feed. It's an amazing feed. So I went over to him. He had his food truck parked at Strathfield in a car wash on a Sunday night, and I'd already had dinner. And I said, I've got to go and see this bloke. I've got briskets. I'm stuck with a heap of briskets. I wonder if he could do something with my briskets. So I went over. I lined up in line for about 45 minutes, and I said to him, "G'day, mate. I'm Gary from Casino. Mate, I've got a Wagyu business. I've got a heap of briskets." I said, "Mate, your brisket's amazing. I've just tasted it. Would you like to try some of my briskets? Who supplies your briskets?" And, mate, he ended up coming out to our cold storage the next day, and I gave him 2. I said, "Mate,
just have them.
Try it, cook it. If you like it, come back." The next day he rings me and goes, "Can you come and see me?" And, mate, from that day onwards, we supply him all his briskets. Me and him have formed an amazing relationship. I treat him like a brother. I treat him like family. And he was so well established in the barbecue community that him just giving that social proof that he's using our briskets and, but it was more than that. He did a couple of podcasts and spoke, really highly of me, which was good, and the brand and the product and our service. And I think that's what's probably separated us from a lot of the other guys in the meat industry, because we're probably not from the meat industry, so we're not caught up bitter and twisted about it all. We don't know all the politics. We don't know who to offend and who not to offend. We just stay in our lane.
So fucking funny you say that, because the same thing happens to us. Like, we haven't come from a clothing industry, and we get people hating us because we don't really know what we're doing, but it works.
100%, man. And I think that that fresh lens coming in and not knowing and not being afraid to have a crack.
Yeah.
Hey, you don't get growth unless you fail, and and as long as you learn from it. So, we push the envelopes with a few of our marketing campaigns, and some of it's probably, a bit risque. We created a sausage this year with the Scotty Evans and the team up at East Blaxland Butchery. Mate, champion boys, bearded butchers, mate, legends. Go up there every Saturday. Best sausages on the planet. So they created a sausage with us, the Mr. Wagyu beef, jalapeno and 4 cheese sausage.
Sounds good. That sounds good. Yeah.
I'll bring you some. Tastes like nachos in your mouth. Fat kid porn, mate. Fat kid porn. So I thought, how am I going to market these sausages? So I actually delivered to a girl earlier in COVID, Natasha Spencer, Married at First Sight. Tash, she cops it in the media. I got to know her. She's actually a cool chick, One of my mates rang up and said, "It's Tasha's birthday, mate. I don't know what to get her. she can't go out to any restaurants. Can you deliver some steaks and try and jazz it up a bit? You got wine, put some wine in there. So, mate, I showed up. I don't watch TV. I don't know what Married. I knew what Married at First Sight was, but hadn't seen it. Mate, showed up down to Piermont where she was with a couple of my friends, and my office decided to get a couple of dozen roses and some wine, and we got the Wagyu gift wrap for her. We presented it. This poor girl broke down in tears. She was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing! Like, thank you so much for my birthday. This is amazing." So we formed a bit of relationship, and then I said to Tash, I said, "Hey Tash, I've got these new sausages coming out." I said, you're known in the industry and across the media for being pretty provocative and sexy and that. I said, I'd actually love to see if you think this sausage is the best sausage you've ever had in your mouth. Do you reckon you can drop it on socials for me? So to a credit, man, I'm there on a Saturday and my phone's in my pocket, and next minute, ding, 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 ding. I'm like, what's going on here? And I look at Insta. Here's Tash. Tash has cooked up some of the sausages with a plate of salad. She's gone, my good friends at Mr. Wagyu Beef and the boys at East Blaxland Butchery, they've created a jalapeno and 4-cheese sausage, and she cuts the sausage and puts it in her mouth, which I think's the best sausage I've ever had in my mouth. Mate, that I'm telling you, brother, that one line, mate, they say sex sells, and I'll tell you what, Tash, big shout out to you, babe, because honestly, that sent sales off the Richter. But man, it was actually funny. It was more chicks than blokes were buying it. So, who knows? There might be something in that. So, push the envelope, man. Sometimes you might offend some people, but it's all in good jest.
Good
and
taste.
good humour,
Yeah. This might be a dumb question. What's the difference between normal beef and Wagyu beef?
Mate,
besides price.
Yeah.
At a restaurant.
Yeah, so mate, Wagyu beef, it's a breed of cattle, and it's got a high percentage of intramuscular fat or marbling. Marbling or fat is flavour, and a lot of the grass-fed animals that you get, they don't have that marbling, so the meat's a lot more dense. But as you know, you've tasted the meat, it's sort of light and fluffy and sort of melts in your mouth.
Butter, eh?
Yeah, beefy butter.
Like
Beefy butter. And, mate, the Wagyu fat, it actually melts at one of the lowest melting points. So when you put it in your mouth, it activates and it liquefies. And that's that unique flavour that sort of people crave the world over. Our Wagyu that we use is an F1 Wagyu, so it's crossed with Angus. It's not a purebred Wagyu because, man, if you've ever eaten too much purebred Wagyu, mate,
crook.
Oh, brother, it's very rich.
Can imagine.
So we, as predominantly as Aussies who are known for our steaks, we don't want to eat like the Asian style barbecue 100 grams. We want to sit down and we want to eat a 300 gram steak. So to do that, we put, the Angus breeds in there, that British breed, to give it that bit of bite, that bit of robust flavour. And, mate, we think it's, so many people tell us it's the best meat they've ever had.
Even my girlfriend doesn't like steak, but she's the only time she eats it is that stuff there.
Mate, I'm telling you, the amount of women that have told me my mate's the best meat they've ever had in their mouth lately, it's been pretty cool. It gives a brother a good backstroke anyway.
I think you're a bit of a marketer at heart, aren't you?
Oh, mate, I think it's just, that's my nature, man. I'm bubbly and I like to have fun. And I think marketing, man, if you look at it, is about having fun and about connection and connecting to people. And like I say, man, I can get on a level with anyone from Hell's Angels to the Queen, and known for it. And, mate, that's what I think marketing is. If you've got an audience that you need to target, or how do you connect to them? What makes them tick? What's their why? What's the problem? Because at the end of the day, you're trying to solve a problem. Like in COVID for us, people are locked down. They can't go to restaurants. They still want a quality experience. So how do we get that quality experience to them in their home? And that was the sort of, I guess, the framework or the blueprint to solve that problem. And how do you market that? So you inform and educate them, because one of the biggest things, and I think like when I first dropped off them steaks, you can see the fear in people's eyes when you hand it to them, because they think they're going to stuff it up. Like, this is expensive. How do I cook this? That was
my next question. How do you cook a good steak?
Mate, Skipper's barbecue.
You the 325? Is that 235?
Yeah, mate, it depends on the thickness of the steak. I probably like mine more, I think for Wagyu, more medium than medium rare. So just to get that fat sort of melting and make it liquefy a bit more. So, mate, for like a 300 gram steak, I'm sort of salt it heavily. You know, take it out of the fridge probably 10 minutes before. I don't use any oil, whether it's on a pan or a barbie. Let it render in its own fat. I actually probably prefer them pan fried than barbecued.
Why is that?
I don't know,
It's
mate.
kind of un-Australian, isn't it?
Yeah, mate, I don't know. It's just, I like the juices in there. They stay in the pan, you know, it doesn't leak everywhere and it sort of absorbs in that, renders in its own fat. It's a unique, it crusts up really good. Mate, 3 minutes. Most important thing with Wagyu, let it rest, man. Like, you know, some of the top chefs say don't let it rest, but when they're in their restaurants, they're under heat lights for 5 minutes before it goes out to the table, so it's resting anyway. So rest it, and mate. The trick with Wagyu, I tell everyone, once you try it, a squeeze of fresh lemon juice. Like
I don't know, bro. I don't know if that's the play, eh?
Yeah, you don't like it?
I don't know. No, I haven't tried it, but I'm just thinking at the top of my head.
Mate, don't be a hater until you try it.
Yeah,
man.
that's true,
honestly, it's I don't know. It's the citric acid just helps cut through the fat and the flavour, and it really makes it pop in your mouth. And mate, like I said, for me, it's just keep it simple. Like that's what we tell everyone. We got 2 mottos in our business: KISS, keep it simple, stupid, and CARE, cover, ask, retain employment. You know, and that's what we sort of build our whole sort of ethos and our whole business and our marketing strategy over. Like, you know, I spoke to you earlier. There's a competition to be on Sonny's back, you know, on Sonny Bill Williams' back on the Roosters jumper. Mate, I don't know how many people have applied. We made a video last night to send in. Hey, we mightn't get it, but hey, if you don't ask, you don't know. And I think that's what we've managed to gain traction, because we constantly, every day, ask the question to our community or our new community that we're targeting through whether it's our social media advertising, whether it's our online content, whether it's, you know, doing stuff like this, podcasting, and heck, people want to know about the story behind the story, you know. It's all good to have the flashy brand or whatever, but people want to know about the people that are in the trenches. And, you know, I always say, why do people love reality TV? Because they want to see the drama of what everyone's really nosy. They want to see what's going on in everyone's lives. So, you know, mate, it's just, for us, it's just about informing and educating and just being humble. You know, like we're not rock stars. We try to do the best we can. We make mistakes. If we make a mistake, we aim up and we square up. Like a couple of times, there was a few deliveries that were late, or a few deliveries that were the product that got mixed up. Mate, we just cancelled the order, gave it to them for free, and sent them out a new delivery. You know, and you know, I think in business, you know, and coming from the bush, in business, there's we say that if you shake on something, you know, your word's your bond. I think in a lot of businesses today, and especially what I've seen in e-commerce, they don't keep their word. So if you say 3 to 5 day shipping, make sure that it's 3 to 5 day shipping. Or if you say that it'll be between 2 and 9 on this day, make sure it's between 2 and 9. And, you know, the other big thing I've learned, especially, and it's like anything in life, just communicate with people. You know, the boys set up this most amazing abandoned cart email sequence and all of this sort of other interactive stuff that we use to connect with our clients and our customers. And, you know, if someone, what we normally find, it's not about doing an upsell or a sell. It's actually our first email when they fall out of the abandoned cart is, do you know how to cook the perfect Wagyu steak? Because one of the biggest fears is, I don't want to stuff this up, man.
So true. All right, last question. What's next for Mr. Wagyu Beef?
Mate, we're in Sydney and Melbourne now, national within a month. We really want to build our community and our brand. We've got some big ticket items for a few top-level hatted restaurants that we're just in negotiations with. And, mate, I just think if we can grow online direct-to-customer here in Australia, I'd like to then expand out and see what we can do. Maybe not direct-to-customer, but more the wholesale with the export markets. And, mate, keep having fun with what we do. Like, it's a cool journey.
You make it sound fun, bro. It sounds fun.
Yeah, mate. And mate, what I've learnt, like, from being in a full corporate environment, from being in, you know, footy, from being in all aspects of life, if you're having fun and you're in the moment and it's enjoyable, mate, you're not like going to work. And that's what, for me, I think Mr. Wagyu personally has been, it's a real cool change up from all the corporate stuff I've done and all the other stuff this lets me be creative. It lets me be interactive. It lets me, do things that, I really love and I'm passionate about. So, mate, just keep making it fun and stay humble and stay in our lane.
All right, guys, if you're fucking hungry, where can people find you? Where can they get me? I've tried this. I can personally vouch for it. I've had it many a times, and yeah, it tastes like butter. It actually tastes like butter. It's so good, so good. So where can people find you, and what should they order?
Yeah, so on Insta, Mr. Wagyu Beef. Give us a follow there, and our website's www.mrwagyubeef.com.au. Mate, everyone goes for the Scotch fillet or the cube roll. Like the Scotches, we probably sell 3 times the Scotches we do for anything else. But mate, I'm actually a sirloin man, a strip loin sirloin. So that's like the big piece of the T-bone.
Yeah.
Mate, our mince as a cheap and cheerful. Mate, our Wagyu mince puts a new spin on absolutely everything. You said earlier, Travis Young at Reborn, like, mate, he is dead set powered by Wagyu. That man, mate. But, we spoke about it last time, like with the carnivore diet and everything like that. Travi just did a challenge and he spoke about it last week. Nothing's changed except from the amount of Wagyu he eats now to what he was before. He's put on like 3.5 kilos of lean muscle in like that 8-week challenge block. His body fat's down to like 6-point-something%.
Yeah, he's ripped.
And, shredded, good looking rooster. And, mate, I think, those are the products. Strippies, our tomahawks, obviously they're what I brought in before. The tomahawks, they're the big showstoppers.
Yeah, they're fucking huge.
Mate, they're good for, definitely the Maori and the Islander community when the Cuzzy Bros want a little bit more, But, mate, everything's good on the menu, man. Get in and have a try. And like I said, for us, and it's on our Instagram tagline, mate, we don't sell steaks, we offer experiences. And, at Mr. Wagyu Beef, that's all we want. We want people to have a cool experience. We want to create a cool, funky community. And, mate, just about interacting and sharing a love of quality food. And, I think that was really humbling through COVID when, the shit hit the fan and everything went south. What's the common thing that everyone had to talk about still?
Food.
Yeah, food. You don't eat, you don't shit, you die. So, we're in a good industry. So, man, just keep it humble and keep moving forward.
All right, brother. Looking forward to watching you succeed, and thank you for your time.
Nah, thanks, bro. Appreciate it.
Okay.